Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston, and in this tutorial we're going to be covering events. Now you've seen events before, such as the button click event that we've used in most of the tutorials before this. Now I'm going to break that down a little bit and explain it to you, and we're going to take a look at some other events that we can use. Now let's go ahead and create a new project. We will select Windows Forms application, and we will set the name to events, and just go ahead and click OK. Now we'll wait for that to load. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and head over to our toolbox, and we will select a button and place it on our form. Now we'll go ahead and resize the form some here, and we'll make the button a little bit bigger. So we'll just go ahead and leave the text value the same because that's going to be changing pretty soon, and we'll change the name to button events. Now if you go ahead and double click button 1, you can see here that it creates this sub, and it's called button events underscore click, and you can see it takes two arguments. We've got by_val sender as system.object, and the sender is our button. The button is an object. And it says by_val e as system.event_args. E is the event args that is being sent. So if we go ahead and come over to our Solution Explorer, you can see a button right here called Show All Files. Now if we go ahead and click that, you can see that a lot more files show up under our events solution. So we can go ahead and click this arrow under form1.vb. You can see here that we have this one file called form1.designer.vb. Now this is where Visual Basic generates all your code that creates your form, this right here. So when you drag and drop items onto your form, it creates them in this designer file. Now you can see here that here's our button, and what this basically does is it sets the location, it sets the name of it, the size, and everything that it needs to know to add the button in the right place, and change and add the text value and all that other stuff. Now if we keep scrolling down, you can see that here is our event. It's called friend with events button events as system.windows.forms.button. So this is where the event is, and it's coming from button events. Now whenever you add an event, it's going to go ahead and generate it in this file. So if we come over here to the design, we can go ahead and take a look at our properties right here, and if we click the lightning bolt, you can see that it opens up all these events that we can use. Now let's go ahead and look at mouse hover. So we'll go ahead and double click mouse hover, and you can see it creates another sub for us in form1.vb. Now you can see that the mouse hover has two arguments right here, which is the sender, and it's going to be the same as the button events clicked because it's the same button, but our system.event_args is going to be different. So we can go ahead and just take a look at what this will do. So if they mouse hover, then we're going to go ahead and type button events.text equals text changed. So whenever they hover their mouse over there, it's going to say text changed. Now let's come up here and we'll add something under button events click. We'll type messagebox.show sender.toString, and we'll type messagebox.show e.toString. So whenever we click on this, it's going to show us what sender is and what e is. So let's go ahead and run this program and take a look at what happens. So you can see we have button 1, and you can see if I hover the mouse over it, it says text changed, and it won't change back because we would have to create another event for the mouse leaving this button. Now if we go ahead and click on text change, you can see we get the message box for the sender, and our sender is system.windows.forms.button, which is the button is a button object, and the text of it is text change. We'll just go ahead and click OK, and you can see that our event args is system.windows.forms.mouse event args. So now what we can do is show you the E for mouse hover. So we'll type messagebox.show e.toString. So let's go ahead and run this. And you can see when we hover the mouse over, it shows us system.eventArgs. So go ahead and add some objects to your form in the designer, and go ahead and click the lightning bolt and take a look at some of the events that you can make. Play around with those, and once you get familiar with some of the most common events, then go ahead and move on to the next tutorial. And you can see we've got the form1.designer here. I would suggest that you don't modify this because it could screw up your program. Sorry about that, I got interrupted there. So what I was saying is, don't modify this form1.designer.vb. You can look at it to kind of see how the program works and learn from it, but don't modify it if you don't know what you're doing. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next tutorial.